Well, we also had different school experiences as well. Like you were in a lot more of the gifted programs and things like that, which is also, it's not uncommon for kids with ADD to, be gifted, but it's also, I mean, there's a term, it's called twice exceptional. So it's, up here in certain aspects and down here in other aspects simultaneously. So, maybe that was just more prevalent, or maybe that was more, up front with yours, where it was like, oh yeah, he's, the disability is not detrimental enough that it's going to impede any of his learning or anything like that, or it's going to impede his progress. Where for me, it was, I'm not some kind of genius or anything. I don't have, superior intellect by any means, but I was good at certain things and bad at other things. So that by that, going back to like the social aspect of it in a school setting, you probably wouldn't have had the same experience in bullying that I did, because nobody called you stupid or another myriad of other derogatory terms.
Yep. Just
because of the exposure that you would have had to it. So, and there's plenty of kids that go undiagnosed, and on one side, they don't have to deal with the social aspect of it, but on the other side, a lot of them go undiagnosed and develop terrible learning habits, and they don't do anything with them. And they don't, it really cuts them short in the long run of, I guess, just life in general. Like you practice bad habits, and they're really hard to break when you need them, like especially in college or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I tend not to lean too hard into talking about my ADHD because, everything now, rightfully so, is on a spectrum. And people that are further down the spectrum on ADHD definitely have it a lot worse than me. ADD is no longer a thing, at least by DSM standards. It's just ADHD, but I never really had the hyperactivity, or at least I learned to suppress it because getting in trouble at a young age. And I think back to when I was in the gifted program, and it honestly makes me wonder why. I mean, I don't know if it was because I was divorced and I had the complex that a lot of kids who go through divorce have, of having to mature too early. You have to learn to, I don't want to say that you have to learn to stand on your own 2 feet, because you really don't, but you learn to mask the fact that you don't have, certain stabilities that others have. And I don't want to shit on my mom and dad, because they did try really hard to give me that stability through grandparents and through, creating patterns and norms and trying to create that structure. But when you go through divorce, there's just no way to fully remedy that. And I think it forced me to feel like I need to stand on my own 2 feet. So I need to give off this image that I'm okay. And sometimes I think that it made me seem more socially mature and I may have been to a certain extent compared to other people. But I don't know, I still really struggled with math, and I really struggled in certain other subjects. And I think that those things didn't really come to light until I was in high school. And sometimes I look back, and while the gifted program was fun, it was a cool experience, I almost think that it hindered me in some ways, because it really raised the expectation. And, my family already had this whole, you're gifted, you're going to take the most advanced courses, you need to get ready for college, all this stuff. And the standard was always way up here. And by the time I got to high school, I realized that there was a lot of stuff that I didn't know or that I needed help with. And I think that all set me up for not really knowing how to ask for help.
Yeah.
So that's one part of it. And the other part is, I've noticed that ADHD really kind of almost puts you, and I think this is just a part of ADHD, is it puts you a few years behind as far as a maturity level goes, because I found myself coming to realizations from just seeing the world differently at like a later age than what I see how I see some of my peers seeing the world. And whether that is, wanting to make the decision to come out to California or wanting to make the decision to, do this or that, I see myself becoming interested in those things and kind of processing those things much later than my friends did. So I don't know. I guess, like you said in the beginning, they didn't know a lot about ADHD then. And honestly, I don't think that they fully know a lot about ADHD now. Great counselor that I had, also an instructor, the University of Tennessee, Knoxville College of Social Work, was Steve Brown. He's a great licensed clinical social worker, but he talked in his class about how, ADHD is, probably more of a different way of thinking. And he always really pushed that everything is on a spectrum and everything is both and. So, you really can't pinpoint any single way that an ADHD person acts, just like with a lot of these other disabilities or conditions that people struggle with. So